Hello! Welcome to day number 6 of the Strong, Healthy and Empowered You online summit. Guys, I'm really excited to be here. Happy Sunday! Sorry, my headphones, I've just realized, just stuck under the tripod. Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are having the most incredible day ever. I hope you've been spending lots of time with your families today on a Sunday and you're excited to be here with Amy and I. Guys, Amy and I are going to be chatting all about human design. She's a human design expert. This topic fascinates me so deeply. I discovered human design only a couple of weeks ago and I'm so excited because Amy is actually going to talk a little bit about my human design and we're going to discuss that to give you guys a little bit of insight on what on earth human design is and what it can do for you when you discover it. So let me just make sure I've got Amy here and we are going to get into it. Hey, let us know where you're tuning in from today, everybody. Do you know your human design? If you know your human design, why don't you pop it in the comments below? If you don't know it, maybe Amy will tell us today how you can figure it out. There we go. Let me see if I can add Amy. So welcome everybody. Happy Sunday as you're tuning in. Say hi as you hop on. Who's excited to discover human design? I am so excited. Here comes Amy. Oh, there we go.
Hello.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, Shannon. Good. How are you?
I'm so good. I'm so
Yay.
excited.
Me too.
So
excited.
Welcome to the online summit. I'm really, really happy to have you here and I can't wait to share your gifts with everybody.
Amazing. I'm so excited and so honored. Thank you for having me. Can't wait to share this with everyone too.
Of course. So do you want to share a little bit about your story? Like, how did you discover human design? That would be one of the questions I would love to ask because for me, like, as I said, I only discovered it a couple of weeks ago. Didn't know what it was. I'd never even heard of it. Like, and can you explain to us what human design is?
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So I actually started my business just over a year ago. A year and a half ago was going through the process with a life coach to really figure out like what my passion was, what I wanted to do. I've been a teacher for 9 years. I have 2 daughters and I have a little son that's due in like 3 weeks. So I was like, each child, both of my daughters kind of gave me this new, position in myself and this new like unfolding and discovery of myself. So I was working with a life coach, trying to figure out kind of what I wanted to do. And then I hired business coaches and was going through the process. But then nothing was really feeling right. I felt like I was in the hustle. I felt like I was forcing things, like I was just jumping into things just because maybe it would make money or this is what I should do or supposed to do. And it just didn't feel good. And then when I finished with my coaches, I just kind of all of a sudden, so this would have been just over a year ago, like in June, I was on my own and just kind of still dabbling, throwing things out there that felt right and intuitive to me. Really talked about being an empath a lot and an introvert. Then all of a sudden in June, human design literally fell into my lap. Like I don't even remember how I found out about it. I think it was through a podcast or something. But I was like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. So what human design is, it's literally like your energetic DNA. So the DNA in our body, it combines a few different systems that people might be familiar with. So like the I Ching, a portion of Kabbalah using the chakra centers, but there's 9 within human design.
I feel like you're talking a totally different language right now.
I know. Some of those spiritual people, they're like, oh yeah, I know. But anyways, the basis of human design is literally like you understanding what your energetic DNA is. So how you operate in this world, the way that you're going to create the most amount of ease, what's going to feel right and authentic for you, and literally like the instructions on how to do that. So there's 5 different types of an energy type. So I'm a projector. So the idea of hustle for me feels really wrong and like terrible and literally like makes me want to be sick. And that's because I don't have the energy in my body to be in that hustle mode. And you are a manifesting generator. So you naturally actually have something in your body that is providing you with the endless energy. It's literally like a motor. So you can like be going, like you would exhaust me. I absorb some of that and I'm like, yes, for a little bit, but then I'm like, okay, tapped out. Yeah. So it's the best way to explain it is that, like, you know, when you get like something from IKEA and it comes with the instructions and people are like, I'm just going to figure it out on my own, you know, like try to do this and like work from the end and the middle, blah, blah, blah. And then they like build it and they're like, crap, like this isn't working properly.
Yeah.
And they're forcing the drawer. So that's if you're not using human design. And if you are using human design, you follow the instructions from IKEA and you literally put everything together in the right order. You follow the instructions, you step into it, and everything is done with ease. And like, you're like, whoa, that was way quicker and way easier than I expected.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah. So for me, I utilized human design. So I found out a year, I literally studied on my own of myself only, understanding what it meant to be a projector, really starting to embody and integrate that. And then started experimenting with my family. So understanding my kids and my husband and our dynamics all together and working with those energies. And then I started to just like slip it in with my one-to-one clients, just to see how, like, it was just like a little experiment, like, let's see how this works. So I started tweaking my coaching to match their energy type and their designs. And then all of a sudden they took off in like a completely different way. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to integrate this into everything that I'm doing. This like literally just feels so good. So right. I understand it. I get it all. And then I actually studied through the International School for Human Design and got certified with Human Design and Business. And ever since then, it is like I like could never live or coach in a different way. Like I just speak the same language as my clients and understanding them. And it just changes everything for them because they feel seen, they feel heard, they feel understood, and we create strategies that are right for them.
Amazing. So you've got this set of instructions and you're like the box. So we're the box. We've come from IKEA. We've got this set of instructions. Now, how do we utilize it? Because as I said, like when you were just talking about it, I'm like, this is a totally different language. And I went into, is it called Talking Bodygraph? Is that the... Mm-hmm. So I went in, talkingbodygraph.com, put all my details in. It told me I was a manifesting generator and it spat out my set of instructions. And I looked at it and I was like, what is all this? I couldn't understand it. So can you help us understand it a little bit more?
Absolutely. Okay. So if you want to find out what yours is, you go to mybodygraph.com and all you need to do is type in your name, your birthday, your birth time, and the location of your birth. And it will tell you what your design is. And what you're going to want to look for, first of all, is just your energy type, your strategy, and your authority. Those are the most foundational parts of understanding your design. So I actually have yours here, Shannon, so I'm just going to share it. So this is what it looks like. And this is what Shannon's talking about, how it's like, what is this? It's like a map, has colors, different shapes on like literally a body. So when I'm looking at that, I can completely read it and understand kind of like your power centers, what we're going to be utilizing, and where a lot of your conditioning would take place. For other people, it's just like, whoa. So focus on the three things: your energy type, authority, and strategy. So there's 5 different energy types. So the first energy type is a manifester, and manifestors have this really powerful energy. They've been conditioned a lot because they just like, they can initiate, they can go make things happen. They can just like step into something and like get the ball rolling right away. But a lot of people throughout their life have kind of shut them down and been like, okay, that's like too much. You need to like wait, da, 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 da. So they feel kind of disempowered a lot of the times and misunderstood. So, but they're here to actually like create. They're really creative. They are very powerful. They love to make new things happen. And then there's generators. So generators are people with their sacral defined, which is the energy center I was talking about earlier. And this is that motor. So they are like, go, 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 go. They're literally meant and designed to be working. So when generators go on vacation and people are like, let's just sit on the beach. They're like, no, like I want to go I want to go explore. I want to like be on an adventure. But what happens with a lot of generators is they actually, since they're meant to be doing work, they just say yes to so many things that are not actually lighting them up and not exciting for them. So they end up feeling burnt out or completely like, I hate what I'm doing because they're saying yes to things that are not correct for them. They need to wait to respond to something. So they're just living their life and the universe brings them things forward. And with their sacral, they respond, like yes, or no. So it's literally from the body of what feels good and right for them. And then the next, which is you, which is a manifesting generator. So this is the combination of the two, of manifestor and generator. And manifesting generators have a little bit more complicated because they have that feeling of wanting to initiate like the manifestor, but they're firstly a generator. So they actually have to wait to respond. They're going to respond through their energy, and then they can go take and initiate if it's like double yeses from their sacral. Other things about manifesting generators is they're like, so, okay, yeah, go.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you mean when you're saying, like respond from your sacral? I don't understand that. I feel like I just have to be fully transparent. What does that mean?
Yes. Yes. Stop me as many times as you want because I'm just like rolling. So just be like, I need more information. So your sacral is literally in your belly. It's kind of like the lower stomach womb area. And when somebody has this defined, so you would either be a generator or a manifesting generator only. And this is where you would feel like all of a sudden somebody says something to you and you're like, like I really love that idea. Or they're like, do you want pizza for dinner? You're like, like you're just excited by it. Yeah. So in your stomach, you're going to feel like a rise of excitement if it's an if it's a yes. And if it's a no, you're going to feel like a drop or just like, ooh, like yucky, like a gross kind of feeling.
Right.
So this is how manifesting generators and generators start to lead their business. So if something's not lighting them up anymore, they need to shift that and they need to only be operating and running their businesses through things that are lighting them up, that they are excited by. Because manifesting generators have this like really like pure magnetic energy and people are just drawn to them. They're like the life of the party. Like people just like want to come talk to them and like have fun. So if they're doing something in their business that is coming from like an like I'm not into this anymore, but I'm going to force it anyways, nobody buys from them. Does that make sense?
That totally makes sense.
Okay.
Yes. And that is really funny because I have had that happen before. I've had that happen. My very first group program, which was almost like 18 months ago, it was I can't remember, it wasn't this year, it was the year before in March, so however long that was ago. In 2018 in March, I put a program out. I didn't really feel very aligned with it, but I was like, no, I've done all the work. I've put all the things in place. I'm going to move forward with it. And I actually had no one sign up. I didn't say that it meant anything about me, but now that you say that, I'm like, oh, I'd done all the work, but I tried to push it and it didn't click.
Totally. And actually I love that you explained that whole story because manifesting generators are like famous for like, they're lit up at the beginning. So then they like do all of this work and then they're like, well, I have to follow through. I have to finish this. And that's where a lot of conditioning comes in because people are like, well, you can't quit. You know, you've been doing this for 2 months. Like you can't change your path now. But you guys are like, yeah, but it's not right for me, right? Yeah, so you actually have to like literally, if you're like, man, not lit up by this anymore, like that work is just done. You move on.
That is so true.
Yeah. So then the next is a projector. So that's what I am. And we are non-energy types. So we don't have any energy inside our body that is providing us energy to move forward. So we actually are absorbing from you guys, from other generators, manifesting generators. We're taking in that energy. And for us, we're only actually meant to be working like 4 to 6 hours a day to be really efficient with our work. We're actually designed to be leads and guides and telling other people what to do, teaching them. so that they can go move forward. We're very strategic, very like can see things that other people can't see. And our issue is that we are trying to live like you guys. So the conditioning, the expectations of like that hustle and, you know, doing a million things or working, you know, 12 to 14 hours in a day, and it burns us out. Our bodies are literally just not meant to do that. So understanding that you actually can only work 4 to 6 hours in a day, the rest of the day is meant to like refuel, play, rest, self-care, etc. And the more that a projector takes care of themselves, the more that their aura, their energy is just captivating to everybody else. So it really, like you literally, it's so important to just take care of yourself. If they are on burnout, people again are not buying from them, they don't feel attracted to them, etc. And then there are the reflectors. So reflectors are super rare. They're only 1% of the population. And they are, again, a non-energy type, but they're completely open. So when I showed that body graph before and you had colors in yours, theirs is completely white. So there's no color at all. So they're like all encompassing of other people's energy. So they're kind of like a mirror. So if I was with a projector, you were, or with a reflector and you were with a reflector, they would be mirroring back how we're doing. So if we're like doing really well, we're positive, we like got this good flow going, they have the same thing going. They got this good flow, they're positive, etc. If they're in an environment or around people that are like maybe toxic or really negative or just like can't move forward, then they get really stuck too. So their issue is they have a hard time figuring out who they are because they're always taking in from everybody else. So they just need a lot of time by themselves to decompress and just like, who am I? Yeah. So that's the base of each energy type.
Can I ask why reflectors are so rare? Like, why are they so rare?
Yeah, there's just not a lot of them. So it's all the majority of our population is generator, manifesting generator. That's about 70% combined. And then projectors and manifestors are the secondary. And then we have reflectors who are literally only 1%. So I don't know why. It's just the way that everything kind of aligns, the astrology and the neurons and the creation. Yeah, they're just super rare.
Wow, so this is super interesting. So, so we figure out who we are and where our centers are, like where those white bits are that are open. Is that right? And like, okay, so what happens with the instructions then?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to pull yours up and then I'll kind of go into yours because it's easier when I do like an example so that people can understand. Okay. So after we know your energy type, so if you're a manifesting generator, projector, etc., then we are going to tap into your authority. So your authority is how you make your decisions. So, these are the centers I was talking about. So these are the colored in ones. These are what's already working for you, what energy you have in your body. And each of them means something specific. The open ones are the ones where you're receiving energy from somebody else. So for example, you have an open heart center. I have a defined one. So you're taking in my energy right now from a defined heart center, which is willpower. And then you have an open head center too. So I'll go into those in a minute, but those are the areas where we're most conditioned out of because we're trying to force working out of them. And then the power centers, the ones that are colored in, are the ones we want to tap into, we want to be utilizing. So that's where I create a lot of strategy with you and you learn how to use those. So with your authority, this is how you make all of your decisions. So for you, you're an emotional authority. So this, I would say, has to be the most conditioned authority because you're meant to be emotional. Like you're meant to be riding these waves of emotions all the time. Like literally you can't control it. You can't turn it off. You are just like in your DNA, you're meant to be feeling more. So what happens with an emotional authority is they actually like deny their emotions or their waves or try to push them away or get really mad at them and hate them. And then that just creates a longer time that you're in a wave. So you could be in a high wave, so super excited, like all of the like, woo, really pumped up, or a low wave where you're kind of like feeling depressed, like don't want to work, don't want to do anything. And when you're an emotional authority, you're the only type that doesn't want to make a decision in the moment. Well, there's another one with reflectors, but you're going to actually wait till you come down from from that high or come up from that low, and when you're in a center. So when you're kind of in a calm, like no high, low emotion, you're just like in a middle ground, then you're going to want to make your decisions. So for example, if I said to you, hey Shannon, do you want to do a live together in my business page? And you were like, at first you're like, ooh, like super excited. What you have to do is you actually have to say to me, you know what, I'm going to sleep on it. I'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours. Because if you're making a decision in the moment, it's based on the emotion, not on what is correct for you. So if you take the time and let yourself ride your wave out, and then within 24 to 48 hours, generally, people come back to their center, and then they can make a really clear decision. So then you're going to tap into your sacral and say, does this light me up? And then you're going to say yes or no, and then you're going to proceed from there.
That is so interesting. Because I am definitely someone like that. Like my energy, I'm like an Energizer bunny, but then as you say, like sometimes like I will be low. But low for me, I don't know if this means anything to you, but low for me really happens and I struggle with a lower wave emotions leading into my bleed. So it's like, I don't know if it's like tied into my hormones.
Absolutely.
So that's more so when I feel that, but I love that, you know, making decisions on that even keeled place and like giving it a moment, because I feel that would definitely benefit me.
Yeah. And what you said too, of like your cycle, it really like, that's a lot of people. It's amazing that you noticed that already, because we encourage people to kind of like see if it's linked together, right? Because most of the time it is, because you're just more emotional. You're more in a wave. So it's going to be heightened during those times too. Something else that's super important for you too is to never kind of be forced to explain what's going on or what you're feeling, because these emotions and these waves that you're in don't actually mean anything. They're literally just an emotional wave. So for example, if your partner was like, well, what's going on? Like, tell me like what caused this? What are you feeling? And you're like, I don't know. I'm just emotional. You want to just ask the people around you to say, how can I support you right now? And literally that be it. And just like get the support that you need, ask for what you want, and then ride through it, because there's really no reason for you to be there. There's no explanation. You can't explain it.
Wow, I love that. Yeah. Victoria is asking, what about sacral authority?
Yeah, so sacral would be the one that is like your and your So that's coming from your stomach, and that's when you want to ask only yes/no questions to it, because that's the only way that you guys respond. If someone asks you an open-ended question like, where do you want to go for dinner? You're going to be like, that's hard for you to answer. So yes/no all the time. And your yeses are going to feel like the like yay. It's going to feel like a rise, excitement in your body. Are no's, and they're going to feel like a drop or like a yuck in your body. So you're always yes/no questions for you.
This is so interesting.
I know. And it's so deep too. This is just like the base. So every single design has a different authority type. So your authority is emotional authority. Some are sacral. You're going to have ones like, for me, I'm a splenic authority, which is intuitive based. So when people are like, follow your gut, some people are like, well, like, I don't know. Like if I'm a splenic, that's not my gut, right? If you're a sacral, that's your gut. For you, you're an emotional, so you're not going to be able to follow your gut feeling either, because you're going to have to ride out the wave. So it's so unique for every single person. And it just like light bulbs start to go off for people when they're like, this makes so much more sense. I get me now. That's why I feel like this.
Wow, this is so cool. So we've got our authority, we've got, to say energy something, and then also energy type, and then strategy.
Yeah. So your strategy is the part where for you, it's like to wait to respond. So you guys are just out there living your life. You're not going to be initiating ideas or bringing them forward until they come to you. So until maybe a friend is like, oh my gosh, you should run like this online summit. And you're like, like you like feel excited by it. But if you are out there and you're like, I'm going to run this program and I'm going to put it out there and this is what it's called and this is what it's about, da 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 da. And the universe never brings that to you, then again, it's in the force, it's in the initiation. For projectors, I can't be initiating either. So I'm actually waiting for an invitation. So for example, somebody to say to me, hey, can you do a projector masterclass? And I'd be like, okay. And then I respond with my authority, which is my intuition, that I'm like, yes, that sounds and feels good. And then I would move forward. So every type has a different strategy, which they're utilizing with their authority.
So if I have an idea though,
yeah.
But if I have an idea, is that something that's been produced, presented to me from the universe, and then I can like sit on it and go, okay, then I can use that authority around like, does this feel good? Does this not feel good? Is that right or no?
So you're going to want to, especially for manifesting generators, you're going to want to write down all of your ideas, like kind of like start like this list of ideas, because number one, you guys have a ton of them. Number two, if it comes strictly from you, like you're just like sitting there one day and you're just like brainstorming and it comes out of that brainstorm, that's not correct to go with yet. That's going to go on your list. And then you're going to wait. So you're in this waiting game where you're like, okay, I've thrown this idea out there to the universe. It's come from me, but now I'm just going to wait for it to come back around to me. And then I'm going to respond to it. So then maybe a friend, or maybe you see something online that's like basically confirming your idea, anything external that ends up coming back to you. So you have to wait for it to come back. And then you get to respond again. So then you're going to say, am I lit up by this? Follow your emotional authority. And then you're going to follow through with it. So if at any point that idea A doesn't come back around to you, then you're not going to go forward with it. Or B, you aren't lit up by it when it does come back, then you're not going to follow through. Yeah. And sometimes things can just come to you first. You're like, you didn't create it first. You didn't write it down on that list. And someone's like, oh, this is like, why aren't you doing this yet? And then all of a sudden you're like, like this feels good. You ride the wave, wait for tomorrow. And then you tap in again. You're like, does this feel right? Does this feel good? Yes. And then you can move forward. But it's never just purely coming from you. Initiate.
Oh my God, this is so interesting. Okay, there's some questions here. Can I ask you these questions? All right,
Absolutely.
Sabrina's saying, I was told manifestors are good with working less hours in the day. Is this true? Mm-hmm. I am a manifestor and I always feel like there's more I should be doing, but I don't think I should always act on that impulse.
Absolutely. Yeah. So manifestors, they have less energy too than generators, manifesting generators, because they don't have the sacral. So they are meant to be resting more too, not to the extent of a projector, but they're the idea creators. And then they're actually meant to give these ideas to the generators, to the manifesting generators, to go run with it and do the work. So manifestors are like, I love this idea. Let's say they are in fashion, right? So they're like designing all of the new line, right? They're designing it, but then they're going to have someone who actually makes the clothes for them, right? Creates that. Right. So they are like the blueprint people, the idea people, but they don't do all of the work. So that's where their rest comes in, so that they can refuel to be more creative, to utilize that power, and to like make people come together and make the whole project happen. They're like the leaders of that.
So thinking in terms of, because I'm always thinking, this is what I do. So in terms of like business, when it comes to that, like thinking about that, my thought then is, for some human design women who may be like in the online space, for example, would it be wise to collaborate, or is that kind of where a coach would come in, or is that where like you would just collaborate with someone who is kind of more like that, like your complementary human design person? Do you
Yeah,
understand?
totally. Absolutely. Yeah. So for myself, for example, so I'm a projector, right? So my entire business, as it continues to grow and scale, I can't operate everything anymore. So I've hired on a VA, I've hired on somebody else that does my individual readings for me. So otherwise I'd be working 20 hours in
Hmm.
24 hours, right? And I'm meant to be working 4 to 6. So I'd be going against my energy type design. So I have a manifesting generator who is my VA and she does all of the things. I have another energy projector who only takes on 4 readings a month. So I've been able to expand and scale my business in a way that's correct for my energy type with utilizing other people to grow my team. So, depending on what your type is, so for manifesting generators and generators, they're going to want like those coaches that can guide and lead them because they're just kind of all over the place. Manifestors, same thing. As they grow and scale their business, they're going to need other people in there. They're going to need the generators, they're going to need the manifesting generators to like go do their work, and guides, projectors to lead them. So we all are here to like actually be working together and, like you said, like complement each other in our energy types to rise up.
Yeah, I love that. And there was a time there at the back end of last year where I had 6 weeks where I wasn't with a coach. And the moment I got a coach and I started working with her last week of December, everything changed. And it was so beautiful because I was able to have all of the ideas essentially that were coming through me really in a focused direction. And then I could take the action that I knew I had the energy for to be able to go and create that. So that is so cool.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like you nailed it. That,
That is so
and it's
cool.
so funny because so many people do start to utilize their energy in the correct way and naturally start to align because they understand what feels right and feels good for them, right? So they take those almost like downloaded, like I need to do this, and start aligning. And it's just human design, like literally solidifies all of that. It confirms it for you. You build a lot of trust. You create your magnetism, and then you just step into more and more ease in who you are and your power.
Oh, I love this. All right, there's a few questions.
Yeah.
Can I ask you
Yeah.
these questions? All right. Victoria's asking, what's the best kind of leader and coach for a manifesting generator?
Okay, so leaders and coaches, you're going to want to go towards projectors. That's literally what their designs are meant for. There's also incredible manifesting generator, like anyone can be anything. They just need to be utilizing their energy correctly in that way. So I'm working with Melanie and Lair, and she's a manifesting generator. But she sees me in a different way than I can see myself. And as projectors, we can't guide ourselves. I see outwardly. So I see what would work for you, not necessarily what's going to work for me. So she's able to lead me and I'm able to absorb her energy. So again, it's kind of like what your energy type is and what you're seeking, what you're needing. And yeah, projectors are meant to be coaches, guides, and leads, but that doesn't mean that any other type can't be.
Yeah, I love that. So I'm also working with Melanie. I have another coach, and they are both manifesting generators. So
Okay, awesome.
yes, it feels good.
Yeah, yeah. And you would just naturally so what Melanie just has to tweak her coaching so that it's right for me. And I know my type so well that like I can't work like her. Whereas she's a great example for you of who you could be like, right? Of what you can do and how you can
Yeah.
create that. For me, I'm not going to be able to emulate her. I'm going to have to do it my own way. Right. So it's like, yeah, anyone can work with anyone. They just have to be utilizing their energy the correct way.
Yeah, and really be tapped into that, right? So really like lean into that and recognize what is going to work for you, what's not going to work for you, and take it on as like kind of taking responsibility for that.
Absolutely. Exactly. Yeah.
All right, there's a few other questions here. I want to ask these. Victoria's saying, I'm an MG. When things light me up, I don't always follow through because the tasks seem overwhelming. I always say I wish I had a PA for my life in general to follow up with all of the things. Is this normal?
Yes, because you guys are so all over the place, it's really hard for you to focus. A lot of manifesting generators too would even associate with feeling like ADD or ADHD, right? Like boom, 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 boom. So to be able to be like, oh, I have all these tasks that I need to do, or I need to like complete this. You also are like full speed, so you want to skip steps and just like find the quickest, easiest way to do something. So of course, adding people into your team as you want to expand would be perfect for that because you're like, you're the doer, but you're sometimes you can't focus in and narrow. So yeah, adding people to your team would be great. Or you just like sitting down and being like, okay, I like legit need to focus on this for a little bit and funnel in your energy towards it.
So in terms of that, like for a manifesting generator, because it's kind of like, I've just taken a few notes here, really using things like maybe some techniques like Pomodoro method and taking short sprints with your work, like so that you can really concentrate and hone in on that energy, that would be wise, right?
Absolutely. And really tapping into like what truly is lighting you up, because again, something could come into you for a day that lights you up, but it might not be long term. And that's where a lot of manifesting generators get like kind of sucked into things because they're like, ooh, this is lighting me up like for today, but you're always responding. So like tomorrow you might not be lit up. And then again, you're like dragging this thing along. So really tapping into like the things in your business that you feel long-term lit up by to follow through with. And then noticing the other things where it's just like, ooh, like a spark for a minute. And then you're like, yeah, but like I don't really have the desire to fully do that in my business, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Theo is asking, so do you want to have a business coach that this is the same human design as you or not? I'm a generator. What would be the best energy coach for me?
Yeah, so this would depend on like people's full profiles, and really again what you're desiring, right? So what you're desiring in your business, in your life, and the way that you want to move forward. So for a generator, like again, there's no like right or wrong. There's no like people should do this. Like every single design type can work with any other design type. What's helpful is looking at the full chart. So for example, Shannon, like you have, like I said, you have an open heart center, which is your willpower. So you might throughout, like literally, you can't go out there and like be like, well, I have this goal and I have to accomplish it. If you do that, it puts a lot of pressure on yourself, and you often will feel like you've failed because you can't actually complete that goal. And if you were working with somebody else that has a defined heart center, you're going to be able to absorb some of that energy so that you feel like you're getting some of that like willpower in you. And also understanding that you're not meant to go out there and like, I need to have 10K by, in 3 weeks and like go make that happen, because you'll hit burnout because that's not defined for you. So there's not really like a right or wrong type to be with. It's more of like an energetic fit and an energetic match and matching your desires. So who you are attracted to and why, and what you're desiring in your own business, and your energy to shift, where you want your energy to shift.
I love that. The open head center on my chart, what does that mean?
Yeah, okay, so what Shannon's talking about is the top one right up there. So I have this too, and this means that we are literally open-minded. So we're taking in all of this inspiration from other people, other things, like literally everything out there. We're just like, ooh, inspiring, which is great because we're super open-minded. But what can happen is that we can actually overload our inspiration. So this is where we're getting inspiration. And then we lose track of like what's mine, right? So for example, for myself, I could listen to like podcasts all day, right? Or read books and like get inspired and like, oh yeah, that's so inspiring. But then at the end of the day, it's like, okay, so what is my inspiration and my creativity coming from? Is this mine, or did I just get this idea from somebody else? So open head centers just have to be careful about filtering. And when they want to tap into themselves, it's going to come from a quiet place. It's going to come from like tapping out of everybody else's ideas and literally going inward. So nature, journaling, meditation, just like exercise, like literally anything where you're not tuned in to other people is going to be a really big benefit to you. Because otherwise you're just like circulating other people's thoughts and ideas. And then you have a lot of pressure and you're like, okay, well, I'm just going to go with this. And then it could flop.
I love this. And this was one of the things that, like has really helped me in terms of being in the online space. Like I really only follow, I follow my two mentors and there are a few other coaches, but otherwise, it really helps me to stay focused and really in my own lane when I don't have all of that happening. So maybe that's an idea for anyone else who's a manifesting generator or who maybe has that open hearts and open
yeah,
is to
exactly.
really like kind of tune that out by unfollowing the people that are, affecting your trajectory, so that then you can filter out your own ideas and then act on them.
Exactly. And I love that you said staying in your own lane, because that's exactly what I use too. I'm like, just stay in your lane, focus on you, focus on your inspiration, your ideas. And yeah, exactly. Pulling from the people that you're working with to make that bigger and better.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So there's a few more questions. You're right. You have time. I can ask these.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sorry, I'm wobbling the tripod. All right. Sharon is asking, how does this apply to romantic partnerships? I love that question.
Amazing question. Yeah. So I actually have a thing like a masterclass all about love. So parenting and partnerships. So again, any design can get along with any design. So it's not like astrology where it's like a Capricorn's best with whatever. It's literally, we can, as long as we're seeing each other and recognizing and understanding the way that the other is operating and working, we can have amazing relationships. However, if like the manifesting generator is forcing the projector to be living a life in your energy, there's going to be a lot of tension and resistance and bitterness and all of those like not self themes out of alignment. So as long as we can understand who our partners are, who we're loving, and see them for who they are and honor that energy, anyone can have a beautiful, beautiful relationship. Some of the things that are going to create more of a pull to somebody else is these things right here. So these are called your channels. And if somebody has, so see right here, you have a gate. So that's called a gate when it's not fully through. When it connects all the way through, that's called a channel. So you have a gate right here. So this is called a hanging gate. So you naturally are going to feel energetically like fulfilled and connected to somebody else that has the other half of this, so that when you guys are together, you create a full channel.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool that like those are like the more in-depth parts that you can get into. But yeah, fulfilling each other's opposite gate to make a full channel is going to create like that like energetic like, ooh, like we're great together. And then also the centers with ones that are open. So just knowing where like more dominance is going to come from the other person, and understanding like if this is open here for you, again, you're not going to be operating the same way as that person, but you're taking in their energy. So sometimes that means like being away from them, so you're not always observing that energy. But yeah, any design can get along with any other design and have an amazing relationship as long as you understand, recognize, and work in your own ways and respect the other.
So it would be wise then for people who maybe want to explore this, that obviously you get your partner to do it too, so that then you guys can understand one another.
Yes, exactly. And that's why I dove into myself first and then my family, because I was like, I need to show up as a projector, and then I need to be able to understand how they're working and how I can be in my projector energy and respecting and giving them what they need. And both my daughters are manifesting generators and Ben is also a projector. So how I can start to see and recognize them and tweak my energy so that it's allowing them to thrive in their own energy and me not trying to change them to be more like me.
Oh, love it. Beautiful. Yeah. Megan is asking, how does a projector work more than 4 to 6 hours? And should projectors work with projectors?
Okay, so if a projector has to be working more than 4 to 6 hours, like let's say you're in a 9 to 5 job and like that's just your reality, what you're going to want to be doing is taking way more intentional breaks. So, like when you can, a break and away from people. Driving, I always suggest even like turning off the radio, like having quiet time to yourself where you can like just recharge. At the end of the day, going home, and again, if you can, have a space where you're just taking time for yourself, being alone. Working the 4 to 6 hours, we're meant to actually be very efficient. So in those 4 to 6 hours, we can get a lot done in that short time. So if you are a projector and you're an entrepreneur and you make your own hours, you're going to be very focused during those 4 to 6 hours. So you're accomplishing what you need to be doing and not just like dilly-dallying. You're there, you're focused, you're doing, and then you are stepping back. Or again, as you expand, you're hiring other people to take on work that you can't do. Yeah, so I hope that, oh, and then projector to projector, absolutely. So I run a projector power paradigm where I'm a projector and I have all projectors in the group. I have a mastermind with all projectors. So again, it's understanding that like the projectors are wanting to learn from me as a projector how they can be their highest self. And since I've mastered being a projector, they're learning all of the things and I'm able to really guide them in the way that's correct for them. So yeah, any type can be working with any other type for sure.
Ooh, that's really cool. I love that.
Yeah.
Let me see. Theo has a comment. I have open centers except for sacral and root, and it has been huge for me to realize that I need to filter what I take in from others. Also, I'm a non-specific manifester. Can you speak to what this means, please?
Yeah. Ooh, fun. Okay. Amazing. So glad. And I love that you said that too, because in our open centers, we tend to be sponges and just taking in, but we have to be aware. Part of using your design is being like, you have to be hyper aware of like what's good for you and what's not. So you end up just filtering things instead of absorbing. And then manifester, like the way that you manifest. So there are arrows. I'm just going to go back to your graph here. There's arrows beside your head that you will see on your graph when you go into the more information part. And, oh, okay, that's me. And they are either pointing in towards your head or outwardly. And when you look at the right one, and the bottom right one, it's either going to be pointing in or pointing out. So, and this is the black side. So Shannon, you're right here. So yours is pointing in. So that means you're specific manifester. So if it's pointing out, you're non-specific, like I think what Theo said. And if you're pointing in, you're specific. So specific manifestors, any design can manifest very easily once they're in alignment with their design. Specific manifestors are going to be those people that are very detailed in their manifestation process. So if you are looking for a home, you're going to be very specific about, I want 5 bedrooms, I want this location, I want a big yard with a pool, I want, high ceilings, etc. You're going to be very specific. Non-specifics are actually, if they get too specific, it works against them. So they want to be more general, like, I want a spacious house with that's close to a park, that's in walking distance to, some coffee shops, that has a couple bathrooms. Like they don't need to be like the numbers. They need to be very clear about what they want. So they want this house, right? They want it to be spacious, but they don't need to be specific. So they're kind of like that overview. So how this can work in your business, if you're non-specific, instead of setting, like some people are like, I want 10 people in my program. So that would be a specific manifestor thing to say. Non-specific would be like, oh, I would really desire to have like anywhere between like 7 to like 11 people. So keeping it open and being like, I want to feel like this. I want to feel empowered. I want to feel excited. I want the people to be in my program that are really aligned with me. Right? So it's more of like that feeling of like what your vibe is towards your desire. Whereas specific is like, this is exactly what I want. I know, like this is my list and here are all the details. And a non-specific is more like, this is what I want to feel.
This is so interesting. I'm like, if my clients are watching this, I know Annette's on here. Please go and do your human design so we can like
Yeah.
learn about this.
Yes.
This is so cool. I'm really, really interested.
Yay,
Can
amazing.
you talk a little? So you just showed my graph there, and you said, so I'm a specific because the arrows are going in. What are the other arrows on the other side of my head?
Okay, so when you see your chart too, you're going to have the red side. So everything on the red. So this is your subconscious side. So during the creation process of like months before you were born, plus when you were actually entering the world, we have our unconscious side. So anything in red here, even when you see your channels, is going to relate to the unconscious side. So things about yourself that you don't necessarily know. Maybe you felt before, but like you're kind of unsure about it, can't really trust it. And other people, again, wouldn't necessarily be able to define you as that. The black side is all about your personality and what people and yourself know about you. So like the immediate stuff. So the other arrows are going to tell you, okay, so I'm looking at it backwards here. So your top arrow up here, your right arrow, this is how you are actually like digesting life. So from the food that you eat to actually how you're taking in life. So subconsciously, again, this is like what you just internally would feel about yourself, or as you investigate more, you're like, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So you actually need more food to be digesting, to be taking in, and to have more energy. So since even you're a manifesting generator, you have more energy to be burning. So more food for you is very helpful. And again, that doesn't mean like, you know, more unhealthy food. More healthy food for all design types is always the ideal, because you want to keep your body as pure as possible. But that just means that like your energy to be sustained, you need more to be taking in and digesting. The one, let's see, the one below here are how, it's in the red too, is how people are absorbing you. So you are outwardly too. So you are taking in the world like people are taking you in. Whereas if it's pointing in, so mine is pointing in, I'm taking everybody else in. So more of like the observer. So you're being observed outwardly, and I would be like going inward. I'm observing other people.
Ah, okay.
Makes
Wow,
sense.
this is super
Okay.
interesting.
I know, it's like this is all the like really deeper stuff. And then so you have your top right arrow up here. So that one is pointing in also. So this is going to tell you that even the way that like you're learning about things, you're more specific about it. So you're going to like taking notes is helpful, like what you're doing right now. Going back and rereading things, maybe more of like like organization is more helpful for you. So this could be like even your mornings. So like a bit more of a routine for you. You feel more secure and safe in that. Yeah, so those are the arrows. The arrows, again, like we are very conditioned because it's kind of our upbringing of how we'd be raised, right? Like the food that we eat. So I'm an inward, and like I've never liked heavy meals. I've always just been like little snacks, and like dinner, I'm like, oh, like I don't really want to eat a full dinner. But growing up, obviously, I was like, breakfast, lunch, dinner, snack, right? And then I'd be like, oh, I don't feel good from that. But obviously my parents not knowing what my arrow is and how I'm digesting. But now I'm able to kind of tweak and understand how my girls are eating and like what's good for them. And when they say like enough is enough, one eats more and one eats less. And like, it's totally cool. So it's literally like, this is like the ins and outs and where we can be very conditioned because just of our upbringing.
I think this is really helpful for like the parents out there, as like I'm also a parent. I've got 2 kids under 5. This is super interesting because especially as my daughter is she's 5, she's turning 6 in a couple of months. I'm really noticing different things about her own evolution, her own growth. Mm-hmm. I think that this would be really helpful for parents so that you can kind of understand your children, right?
Absolutely. Literally, like it allows you to just see them for who they are. And like my whole take on human design is like everyone is just meant to thrive, you know, like everyone is meant to thrive. So the more that we can understand each other, whether that's our clients, whether that's our partners, whether that's our children, we are going to be able to help them thrive in a way that's right for them. And by tapping into this and first of all, embodying it yourself so that you can help them embody who they are is going to just like, yeah, create so much ease and so much happiness and so much confidence in whatever area you use it.
Oh, this is amazing. So we have been going for about 60 minutes. So if there are any final questions, drop them down below. But if there was one thing you could leave everybody with today, what would that be?
Oh, okay. So basically it's like to whatever you have inherently felt about yourself, you likely should be trusting that. So whether that's that you love to work or whether that's you need more rest, you have already been aligned at some point in your life with your truest, most authentic self. And to understand yourself and to go back to that will change everything for you. So I just encourage you to investigate, to trust what your own feeling about yourself is, and to start to learn you. And human design is becoming so big right now, and really like everyone's jumping on the train and wanting to integrate it into their business. But starting with yourself is going to create the ripple effect that you're looking for. So really go inward, take the time to relearn yourself, integrate, embody, and become who you truly are, and then start to move forward with however you want to use it in your life.
Oh, yeah, I love that. Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome.
There are a couple of last questions. Can I ask you quickly? All right, Victoria's asking, do we have to create a new account for each person in our family, or is there a way to see them through our own account?
Yep, through your own account. So you just add, so there will be like a little new button up here where it says plus new. You can just add in there, and then you're creating a collection of people.
Oh, awesome. There you go, Victoria. And then Theo says that it's been really helpful. She did charts on her adult sons, and now she understands and communicates them differently based on the design.
Amazing. I love that. Yay, Theo.
Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody. We really appreciate it. This has been so super interesting, like really, really interesting. Thank you.
Amazing. So welcome.
Thank you. Don't forget, guys, take a screenshot of us and share it out. And Amy, I would love to encourage absolutely everybody to come join your group. I think it's called Aligned by Design. Is that correct? It's on Facebook. Amy does live videos and things like that in there. So go jump on in there so that you can dive into her lives and learn a little bit more about your design.
Amazing. Yeah, and come check me out on Instagram too, Amy Allchurch on Instagram. And Shannon, thank you so much for everything and bringing me into your community. And thank you everyone for listening or re-listening and sharing and all of the things. It's been amazing. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a great Sunday.
Bye, guys. Thank you. Bye, Shannon.